Alright guys, so this is Friday. Just dropped my pen cap. And we are on Bob's test number 5. And then we're also going to follow up with multiple representations worksheet. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at Bob's test number 5. His name today, it's always fun to see what his name is going to be, right? It's Bobster the Mobster. You can see that there. Which of these graphs represents y is less than or equal to 3? Okay. So it's kind of hard for us to see, but there's some shading here. It's supposed to be here. Okay. There's shading here for this one. So you draw those in for me. The shading on this one is all of this up here. And the shading here is here. Okay. So make those changes in the shading. And Bob thinks it's D. So let's look at the rest of these. Less than or equal to 3. That's not less than or equal to 3. This is a vertical line. Hoy. It's going to be a horizontal line. Because it's Hoy. Y equals. Okay. So it's going to be a horizontal line. Okay. I shaded this one incorrectly. It's this. Sorry. Not that first one. It's that. Okay. So we have a horizontal line. We know it's not going to be D, so he's wrong. He was doing x equals 3. That's what this is. Or x is less than or equal to 3. A is a horizontal line, and it is at y is less than or equal to 3. So that looks correct. Let's check the others. This one is y is greater than or equal to 0. It's a horizontal line. This one is y is greater than or equal to 3. So A is actually the best choice. Number 2. One wall inside a shoe store is used to display walking shoes and running shoes. There are 135 pairs of shoes in this display. There are 1.5 times as many pairs of walking shoes as there are running shoes on display. How many pairs of walking shoes and running shoes are on display? Blah, 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 right? Okay, so Bobster, the Bobster, he is calling the walking shoes W and the running shoes R. I like that. And that he knows there's a total of 135, so he knows that W plus R equals 135. Yes, I agree with that. There are 1.5 pairs of walking shoes. 1.5 walking shoes, as there are running shoes. Okay, so what he did here was he set it equal to 135, 1.5 W. He set that equal to 135, and then solved for W. So he did that here. See how he solved for W here? He divided by 1.5. And so 135 divided by 1.5 is 90. Okay, so he said there's 90 walking shoes. So there's 90 walking shoes, then 90 plus R is 135. That means that there's going to be 45 pairs of running shoes. Okay, so this is the math he did here. So using his math, there's 90 walking shoes and 45 pairs of running shoes. But that's 2 times the amount of shoes. So it looks like he didn't do this math correctly. 135 divided by 1.5. Let's see here. I'll do my calculator on my computer because I don't have my calculator. Well, I have my phone. Let's do that. That'd be easier so that you can see it. Okay. 135 divided by 1.5 is 90. Okay, that is correct. But do you see how this is not 1.5 times the number? It's not 1.5 times more walking shoes than running shoes. It's 2 times more. So that's not how he should have done this. He should have done 1.5 W plus 1 R equals 135. So he got confused here. He's like 135 times 1.5 is 2.5. I don't really know what Bob Stewart was doing here, but he says how many pairs of walking shoes and running shoes are on display. He says 90 pairs of walking shoes and 45 pairs of running shoes. That's not 1.5 times of this. 54 pairs and 81 pairs. That does equal 135. But is 54 times 1.5? 54 times 1.5. Is that 81? Yes, it is. I think that's probably your best answer. Because 54 times 1.5 is 135. Is 81. So that's 1.5. It should be the other way around, though. You should have 81 pairs of walking shoes, because that's the one that you should have the most of, and 54 pairs of running shoes. So D is your answer. Okay, number 3. Graph models A in the area square feet of rectangular porch with a length that is 0.56 W less than 28 feet given a width of W feet. Based on the graph, what's the width in feet of the porch with the greatest area? Okay. What is the width in the feet of the porch with the greatest area? Greatest area. It's a rectangular porch with area in square feet. Okay, so this is your area. That's your Y. And the length it's just comparing area to width. There's no length. The width in feet of the porch with the greatest area. So the greatest area would be this point right here. Okay, 350. And so what is the width? It's 25. So Bobster was wrong. The area of a square is represented by the expression of this, 16x4 to y and y to the 8. What is the length of each side of squares? Okay, so it's a square. We're going to draw a picture. And so the area of this is 16x4 y8. So if there's 4 sides, you can divide that by 4. And let's see what we get. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And then you just, you subtract your exponents, but there's nothing down here, so it's x to the 4, y to the 8. So it's B. He's correct. Okay. Alright, we're moving on to our worksheet today, which is multiple representations. And this worksheet is how many pages? Let's see here. It's 2 pages front and back. So, but there's just a lot of graphs. Which graph represents the best model of relationships? Okay. It's really hard for you to see this because what we have here is a table. These are your L1s and these are your L2s. Remember your X's and your Y's. So go ahead and put that in Stat Calc. Stat Edit, sorry. And then Stat Calc in your calculator. And then option 4, and then 5 enters. Okay. And you really don't even need to do this step or this step because we're not really finding the slope. So don't do those steps. Just put it in Stat Edit and then go to your graph. Well, actually, sorry, I'm walking this out with you. Yes, you do need to do this step and you do need to do this step because you need to put it in y equals. So this is going to give you your A, which is the same thing as your M, and your B. So you can do it in y equals mx plus b. So whatever they give you for your M, you're going to put, or for the A on the calculator, you're going to put an A, and whatever they put B, you're going to put the B, and you're going to go to y equals in your calculator and input that function. So whichever one looks like these lines here, see which one looks like the best one and circle it, please. That's how you'll do number 1. So I want you to pause it right now and do that, and then when you're ready to start again, press play, and then we'll do number 2. Number 2 is a map, which mapping diagram best represents the function negative 2x squared minus 2 when the domain of the function is negative 2, 0, 1. Okay, so the domain, that's your x values. Domain, Dixie. Domain is your x values. The domain is negative 2, so that's going to be on your x's. So your x is y, x, y, x, y, x, y. Okay, so your domain has to be a negative 2, 0, 1. So it can't be A. So all the rest of these have a negative 2, 0, 1 for their x's. Okay, so now we're looking at, I want you to put this in y equals negative 2x squared minus 2. And then go to your table and see which of these maps is correct. So like this is going to be negative 2, negative 10. This is going to be 0, negative 4. That's how you read this. 1, negative 2. See which one of these tables matches. This is negative 2, 6, 0, negative 2, and 1, 0. See which one of these matches. Negative 2, negative 10, 0, negative 2, and 1, negative 4. Okay, so you'll circle which one of those. So pause it right now and do that. Press play when you're ready. Okay, number 3, the relationship by the ordered pairs. And they give you some ordered pairs. These are x and y's. Can be represented in several ways, but the following is not a correct representation. Okay. So basically this is your x's and your y's. So your x's are 12, 16, 20, 32. 12, 16, 20, 32. Good. 12, 16, 20, 32. Yes. Domain 12, 16, 32. Yep. And 12, 16. 12, 16, 20, 32. Okay, all the x's are correct on all these. Now let's look at the y's. 0.9, 0.89, 0.99, 1.09, 1.39. Okay, that looks correct, number 1. So 12 goes to 0.89. It does not also go to 0.99, so it's not number 3. When you put this into Stat Calc, Stat Edit. Put this as your L1 and put this as your L2 to figure out if number 2 is correct. And then you'll go to Stat Calc and then enter 5 times, and that will give you your y equals mx plus b, and then enter that into y equals. Whatever those numbers are, put that into y equals in your calculator and then graph it. If it looks like this, these points, then that is correct. If if you don't get this function to enter into y equals, then if you get this function, then this is also correct. So that will help you with those. Okay? Alright, so pause it, answer that. Number 4, which equation best represents the graph line below? Okay, so what you need to do here is put all of these into y equals. You can just look at the line and tell what the y equals. It's going to be, your b is 1 because it crosses the y-axis at 1, and your x, or your m is your slope. So from here to, I'm trying to find some nice pretty points here. You go 1, 2, 3, up 3, and then over, rise, over, run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you should end up with 3 over 7 plus 1. That's the function of this line. So which one of these is that when you put them into y, when you put it in y equals? Like when you get these in y equals, you solve for y, which one is this function? That's going to be your answer. So pause that and then go to number 5, which is the best, which the following is not a correct description of the graph below. Here's your function. I would put that in y equals in calc, in your calculator, and then I would go to my table and see which one of these are correct. Okay? So make those notes and then you can solve that. And then finally on the back, number 6, which table identifies points on the line defined by this equation? You need to put this in y equals first. Get it in y equals. And then put it in calc. Then go to your table. Which one of your tables matches, which one of these tables matches your table in your calculator? That's your answer. Number 9, which table best represents the points on this line? Ooh, this is good. So if you have this line, which one of these tables, like you could go through and plot these points, -7, -8. So -7, -8 point, that checks. -5, 4, -5, 4, that checks. -2, 2, yep, that checks. 1, 8, yes. And then 2 and 10. Yes, it looks like A is your best answer there. Okay, that's it for today. We will check this tomorrow.